Bury the threat, play the information gap, strip away agency, stretch time until it snaps. Now you might be thinking, okay, these are the 4 golden rules of cinematic suspense, right? The psychological triggers that directors use to keep us practically glued to the edge of our seats. But what if I told you that you aren't just sitting in the audience? Actually, right now, every single one of us is starring in our very own biological thriller, and these exact same rules are literally dictating the plot.
Welcome to today's Explainer, where our mission is to peel back the curtain on a fascinating, scientifically backed connection that honestly reads just like a Hollywood script. We're looking at the profound link between your leg strength, cellular aging, and your brain health. We're going to use this framework of cinematic suspense to really understand exactly how our bodies age, and more importantly, how we can completely rewrite the ending.
All right, let's dive right into this. Step 1, the buried cellular threat. So in the movies, the buried threat is, the monster hiding under the floorboards, or maybe that subtle clue the hero completely misses. Well, in our bodies, this unfolds at a microscopic level, long before we ever feel a single thing. A massive study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences looked at people ranging from 18 all the way to 89 years old, and it mapped out this invisible decline happening right inside our cells. We're talking about the mitochondrial ATP production rate. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but essentially, these are the energy factories inside our skeletal muscles, and they are steadily dropping across age groups. Our mitochondrial DNA abundance decreases, and our cells' capacity to just generate power continually goes down. It's the ultimate buried threat, guys. It's silently chipping away at our physical reserves while we just go about our day completely oblivious on the surface.
Which brings us to step 2, the information gap.
In screenwriting, the information gap is that absolutely agonizing moment when we, the audience, know terrible danger is lurking right around the corner, but the characters walking down that dark hallway? Totally oblivious. In our own biological thriller, that gap exists between our daily perception of our health and our actual, real physiological reserves. And that brings us to a really crucial concept, your strength bank. Think of this as the reserve of functional leg strength you've banked over time. It's the buffer you desperately need to maintain your independence against completely unforeseen health shocks. Like a sudden fall, a really bad bout of the flu, or an infection. The really terrifying part? Most people don't even realize their legs are failing, or that their strength bank is dangerously overdrawn, until that sudden medical event happens and they are quite literally knocked off their feet.
But here's the good news. We can actually close this information gap for ourselves right now. Based on research from Tandem Strength, there's a self-assessment that asks you to take a really honest look at everyday struggles. Things like, do you have difficulty rising from a seated position? Are you finding yourself stumbling a bit more? Do you struggle with climbing stairs? If you have 0 of these issues, fantastic, your functional leg strength is adequate. But start adding them up. 2 issues means weakness is already occurring. Hit 4 issues and your safe mobility is actually in question. 5 or more, your quality of life is actively diminishing. It is a really stark reality check that reveals the true unvarnished state of your strength bank.
Moving on to step 3, stripping away your agency.
In a horror movie, stripping away agency is when the doors get locked, the phone lines are cut, and our hero is just paralyzed. In real life, it's that primal fear of losing physical control. It's the exact moment functional weakness strips away your ability to just move around your house without a walker, or the capacity to live safely in your own home. You lose the power to dictate your own movements. And here's a wild statistic. If you do absolutely nothing, functional leg muscle disappears at a rate of 1 to 2% every single year after age 50. 1 to 2% every year. That is the biological villain slowly stripping away your agency, year by year, percentage point by percentage point.
And that leads us perfectly to step 4, stretching time until it snaps.
In film, stretching time is the ticking clock, right? Or that agonizing wait for the inevitable. In science, it looks like a really fascinating, decade-long medical study that actually followed identical twins to observe exactly how this loss of agency plays out over the long haul. So researchers followed these twins over a 10-year period. Same genetics, same DNA. But they found one specific variable that predicted who would have more brain volume a decade later. Let me tell you, it wasn't their diet, it wasn't their education, it was leg power. No joke. Over those 10 years, the twin with stronger legs retained dramatically more gray matter. This is just an incredible finding because it proves that it's not just luck or genetics dictating our cognitive decline. It is the physical power of our legs actively driving brain protection. Time stretched over 10 years, and the result snapped into incredibly sharp, undeniable focus.
So, what this essentially proves is that your legs are quite literally a brain fertilizer factory. Think about that for a second.
When you contract those massive leg muscles, they release proteins that travel straight through your bloodstream, cross the blood-brain barrier, and actually build brand new neural connections. Your legs are actively feeding and protecting your brain. In fact, the research shows that people exhibiting early signs of cognitive decline already have measurably weaker legs than their peers. The legs and the brain fall together, but the really beautiful part here is they can rise together too.
So how do we fix this? Let's talk about rewriting your own ending.
We've seen the threat, we completely understand the stakes, and now it's time to take our agency back. You don't have to just sit there and watch your muscle mass decline. You can start making daily deposits into your strength bank right now. And honestly, it doesn't require training for a marathon. Just 10 minutes a day is absolutely enough to get started. Things like squats, chair stands, climbing the stairs, these fundamental everyday movements contract those large leg muscles and immediately kickstart that brain fertilizer factory we just talked about. Oh, and whatever you do, do not forget your calves. Medically speaking, your calves act as your body's second heart. They literally help pump blood back up against gravity, supporting your entire vascular system. Strengthening them is just non-negotiable for true, long-lasting independence.
So, you know the rules of the thriller now. You see the silent threat lurking under the surface. The only question left is this: will you just sit back and let the plot happen to you, or will you stand up, build your strength bank, and write the ending yourself?